Good morning, everybody. This is Josh Ellsworth, and welcome to our Making It Together live educational event. Be broadcasting to you Wednesdays this month for my sessions. Jenna's handling Mondays and Fridays, going at 11 a.m. here on Wednesdays and Fridays. And I know Monday kind of changes between 10 and 11, so make sure you keep an eye on that as we are broadcasting on the Impressions Group Facebook page as well as part of our social media takeovers on Monday. For the next several weeks. So want to thank you for joining me live today. We're going on month 3 of doing these together. I know we kicked them off in March and we were all really slow in March. So we did them every weekday. And then April, some business started to come back from what we heard from you. And we still kept doing them every day. May, we're starting to see a little uptick in business. So I'm not sure what you're seeing in your business, but it seems like you guys are finding new ways to be able to make revenue amid all of this. And also some of your customers are adapting and still buying branded and decorated apparel. So we still know we have a long way to go before events and those sorts of things open back up. And hopefully we get back to business as usual, or as usual as it can be. But we're doing 3 days a week here in the month of May. We want to keep bringing educational content to you. And we certainly appreciate everybody joining us today. Hey, Adam, good to see you this morning. I love this. Hi from Illinois. I got my UltraWeed order within 24 hours of clicking submit. Well, you're going to love today's episode, Adam, because we are going to do some projects with UltraWeed. I'm sure most of you saw the launch party that we had last Friday. I did another short 3 to 5 minute video that's out there on our YouTube page. But today, came up with some cool projects. I think I want to try some things. Definitely do some layered jobs. I have my heat press at 260 degrees, going to be decorating some performance polyester today. Talk about what to consider there. So it's a good day for UltraWeed. And honestly, it's a great day at Stahls because you guys have responded so favorably to this new product. And we're hearing initial reviews from you now. And so far, so good. I think you're still going to love it. But, you know, we want to hear all the feedback, good or bad, and your experience with the product. So far, so good, which is exciting. So good to see you, Brian from Connecticut. Good to see you as well. Paul from Florida, Jim from Canada joining, KF from South Carolina. Nice talking to you by email the other day as well. We appreciate you investing with us into your business, KF. We will take good care of you. Nice to see you, Sam from Ontario. Sharon, good morning. Nice to see you as always. Hope you're doing well, friend. Matt's watching from Sweden, which is awesome. And then Craig, always watching from Washington. Good to see you as well. And just a great crew out there today watching from everywhere from YouTube. Maria, good morning, Dallas-Fort Worth area. And Arthur from Southern California. And Rachel on the other side of Pennsylvania from me out in Philly. Great to see you all this morning. And we're going to start with a question right away because today's how-to projects are about UltraWeed, and I'm actually going to shift the direction. So the product updates and the little things I want to talk to you about that are kind of like news and updates on face masks, I'm going to push all the way to the end. Hopefully I remember them because I want to dive right into the projects and talk a little bit more about UltraWeed. So UltraWeed is the latest heat transfer vinyl that is manufactured here in the USA and available over at Stahls.com. And a lot of you are asking questions like Rick's question about how does it compare to Premium Plus? How does it compare to Fashion Film? Because these are some products that have been in our lineup and are quite popular in our lineup. So specific to your question, Rick, Premium Plus is going to be the absolute softest, most stretchy product that we have. And UltraWeed is not going to be as soft and as stretchy as Premium Plus. However, I will say UltraWeed is soft and has more stretch than Fashion Film. And most of our customers say Fashion Film is soft and they love it and it's great. And so I think for most of you watching, you're going to love the feel on the garment of UltraWeed. I want to be clear though, not as stretchy as Premium Plus and not as soft, but does offer some other production benefits over Premium Plus. So what I've been saying is if you join some of the best of Fashion Film with some of the best of Premium Plus, boom, put them together, you would have UltraWeed. So we hit the low temp application that Premium Plus has, but we have the workability at the heat press of fashion film. And so for those of you that, well, when we explore today and do some multicolor applications, you'll see why this product kind of stands out amongst the rest. And really, I think it'll simplify your business by being able to stock one product. As long as it's not something super stretchy or demanding a super duper soft result, I think UltraWeed will help you in stocking one product. So hopefully that answers your question. So let's go. Let's talk about what we're going to make today. So I have, see what we get to, but let me give you a little heads up of what we're doing. I want to test some color combinations. So I have this super bright, high visibility Ogio type garment, which is kind of like an Under Armour type garment. It is 100% polyester, has some good stretch to it, some reflective detailing that's already on the piece at the zipper and some things like that. So this has high visibility as it is. Don't want to use reflective on it because I want to use UltraWeed. So I'm going to decorate this with a combo of our matte black, which is our standard black, and then our metallic black to see how those combos mix together. We're going to do a 2-color on that one. I have this, which is another Ogio garment that's a little bit more of a fleece-like polyester in dark green with, again, some stretch to it. I'm going to try, I thought for this dark green, olive green color, I wanted to try cream because I think cream is a really cool color in the color palette that we see a lot of folks using for natural tones. And I'm going to combine that cream with a metallic gold with a cool 2-color design. This so happens to be a large, so I'm going to make myself a new shirt here today on this one. And then I want to try combining the UltraWeed onto this crop top, tank top, kind of like a high-low garment, higher in front, lower in the back, with how it fits from Sophie, which is SOFFE. I'm going to combine UltraWeed with our CAD-CUT metallic, which is a foil-like finish, and see how that works with a cool new template we have in CAD Works. And then time permitting, I'm going to try UltraWeed on a faux leather, which is something I haven't tried yet. I have a pretty good idea that it'll work, and it'll work just like fashion film does on these, but I haven't tried it. So I want to try that as well with that light pink color with a coordinating set. So that's what we're going to be doing. Let me pull up my screen for you here today. And as always, we're broadcasting live, so bring those questions in as we're going throughout. And you guessed it, we will be working in CadworxLIVE.com, which is our free online design software that you all know about, unless this is your first time watching, but you can visit it at CadworxLIVE.com. And so when I'm designing here, I'm designing on the cloud. Everything that I've created saves under my login. And then we've been really building out the template. So I got to give a shout out to Jenna, who's helping me manage the chat today and does a lot of our education, as well as Sarah, who is another very creative member of our team. They've been updating this template section for you. So there are some cool, stylish templates that even make me look like a graphic artist, because I'm not. And so we have, in the templates category, we have 2020 new, and we have 2020 stock designs. So the difference between this is the stock designs are basically created not to be edited. So I'll show you when I open up a design in the stock designs and I try to change the text. It's not a font that I'm going to be able to edit. So those are designed basically to size and change the colors, but pretty much cut as is. So I'll be doing the 2-color with this No Bad Vibes design today. So those are the stock designs, but under the 2020 new, these are all fully editable designs. So if you want to pick one of these and edit what it says, I'm going to grab this Jefferson Jaguars that's been created, open it up and say, yeah, I want to drop it onto the same page here. When I'm working with this design, I'll be able to double click the text and make it say whatever it is that I'd like it to say for my particular client, right? And so those are the difference between the stock designs and the regular template designs. But we're going to play with them both today. And then I'm also going to combine a couple designs that I've done in the past for my own shirt. And so I'm going to open from my file library. And let's just get everything on the screen here. You can see I've created a bunch of stuff, mostly for a dance demographic here. But I want to grab the Stahls logo because I'm real boring like that. I just wear corporate logos. Let's drop it in here. Grab, I don't need these other details. So I'm going to grab this one. And then I'm going to also grab another design that I've created in the past that I wore to a trade show once. See if I can find it here. It just basically has a cool font that says since 1932 on it. Of course, I'm not going to be able to create it, so that's okay. I'll remake it and show you how to add text. So this is what I'm going to be working with. So I want to start, let's see, how simple can we start? We'll start with the black on the performance gear because I have my heat press at 260 degrees, which is one of the benefits of this material. And I'm going to do this design, except I'm going to do it black on black. All right, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and grab that shirt and see what size of design we want to do today. And so I always like to keep a ruler handy. I'm just going to measure quick left chest placement on here, which is what I'd like to do. And it looks like I have about 5.5 inches wide for placement on this left chest. I'm going to run this design about 4.5 because I don't want to squeeze the dimensions of it too much. So let me change the width up here in CAD Works to 4.5. It will size it down accordingly. Now, just to show you a cool technique, when I looked at this design, I thought, hey, it might be kind of cool if this jaguar claw, I guess you would call it, is kind of like scratching the design and positioned off in the corner. So I wanted to come up with that cool effect. And to be able to create that effect, let me zoom to fit so we can get a better look at just the piece we're working with right now. I'm going to grab some elements, some lines of text to be able to make it look like it's getting basically scraped through or cut through by the claw. And so I love working with basic shapes in CAD Works. I use them for a lot of things. And so in this case, I'm just going to search for a line and look for a basic horizontal line and just open that up. When you open the line up, let me size it down to something I can work with. Let's do it about 5 inches wide. It will drop it onto your screen. And then all I'm going to do is make copies of this. But first, let me rotate it. I'm going to use this kind of, I like to say, as a cookie cutter where it punches through the background design. And so I'm going to have it coming straight out from the claw as if that's where it's been cut from, right? So I'm lining it up down in the bottom right-hand corner of that claw. Let me duplicate this, get another one. We'll line one up with every point of the claw. And I'm just going to duplicate again. And you can see basically I'm creating a piece that's going to punch through the background. This will be my last copy. And I have everything as I want it there. So I thought it'd be cool on this one. I really don't want it to go through this other piece of text here, this Jefferson. So I'm going to just move that out of the way for a second. And because I have it positioned, I'm going to move the claw out of the way for a second as well. And at this point, I will be able to select my objects. Need to zoom out a little bit here. I'm going to be able to select the objects that I want to work with. So I'm going to draw a bounding box around both the lines and the background text. And then I do a simple command. It's just back minus front. After I do that command, oh, it looks like there were two objects there. So let me see. Let's see if it worked here. It only did it around the outside object. So let me select those other two objects without the outside. See how I'm doing the bounding box without going around the full outside rectangle that's there. And let me try my command one more time here. It'll take a second to render, which is pretty typical when you're working with CAD Works and an online designer. And you can see this was simply to punch those lines through that I'm going to weed, and then I'm going to delete it. So that's a really helpful tool when you're working with any object to be able to punch out the backing. Now, one thing I want to look at here, you'll notice in these designs, I'm going to move this to the front so you can see this claw. It looks, if you look really close, you can see how there is a white hairline around this claw. You can see right here. So when I go into the wireframe view, which is down in the bottom right-hand corner, I can see that hairline, but I can see that there's a bunch of cut lines here, right? There's nothing on this background that's going to create this gap outline if I just send this job to cut. I might actually need to punch that through as well. And so just to be clear, I'm going to be able to break this apart. This is how Jenna or Sarah created it in the template. I'm going to break it apart by the colors just so I can work only with the background white design, which is kind of an invisible object here. Move this out to the side. And now with that selected, as well as the background selected, go into the wireframe so you can see it here. I'm really testing CAD Works with everything that's on the screen here. Let me group these together with condense. That way we can see them both. Sorry guys, my internet connection here is not running very strong today. I'm going to take this white design, this outline, when I go into the wireframe that I see here. I'm going to select that, make sure I have it positioned exactly where I had it against those claw marks where they're supposed to start. And again, I'm going to use that same back minus front command to be able to punch that out. So you see how that punched it and got rid of all that text that was flowing through here. So now when I move it away, I have a nice clean space to be able to work with. And so that command of back minus front is going to be your friend, because when you slide things back in there, you're going to get a really cool look where everything is going to be removed. So when you do layer it, you get a nice real result. So it looks like it's being scratched through by the claw there. So hopefully that gives you an idea of that design. Now, the next thing I want to show you is when you're working with CAD Works, I can go to File and I can either export this as a vector file type, a PDF, and bring it into my cut driver. Right now, if you're using Cricut or Silhouette or one of those craft cutters, you'll just export it as a PNG file and have to retrace it in their design studio softwares. But if you're working with like a professional grade cutter, like a Graphtec or a Roland, you can actually just click send to vector cut. And that's going to bring that artwork as well as everything on the page. And it's going to take it from the web and basically download it right to your bottom toolbar to now your local computer. So you're able to send over to the cutter. So bring it over. Let's take a look here. So it has all of my pieces of artwork that have been created. Now, not really worried about the bad vibes and the Stahls logo right now. So I'm just going to grab the piece that I was working with and be able to hit the auto origin. So it brings it down to the corner of the material. And we can see we have our cut file in the two different colors that are going to need completed. It will separate it by color. So it'll show me here's one of my layers and here's the other layer. You can see how everything stays pre-spaced in registration, which for this design, since it's so small, it's how I'm going to cut it because I'm not worried about the waste in between. So I like to select everything and you can just mirror everything at the same time to make sure you don't forget to mirror any elements and it all happens correctly. And then let's start with the inside color. And I'm going to cut that one out of the metallic black. I think that one will look cool in the metallic shade. And then for the other color, again, I'm going to bring it to the bottom corner of my material here so I don't waste. And I'm going to cut that out of the standard black. All right, I'm going to look in questions. So Adam asked, can you explain again how we would use this with the Cricut? Jenna has a lot of videos that would show that. And so if we can link up to that, Jenna, if you're watching, that would be great. But in short, you're going to just export it as a, I believe, a PNG file because that's a higher res file. And then when you take it into the design space for Cricut or Silhouette for their software, you can do a trace just as if you brought in any other image. So it's just a way to create. And hopefully we'll have a simpler path to that soon within the next couple months. All right. So with this in mind, you see the artwork. All I'm going to hit on this is send cut job once I connect the cutter. But I'm going to bring you here full screen so we can see our cutter work and all of that fun stuff. And I am working here on my Graphtec cutter. Have it set up on this side of the room. I'm going to grab my metallic black material. I only have a 1 yard cut of it, so it comes rolled up inside of this small core. And I'll be able to load that into my machine. So UltraWeed is 15-inch wide material. Right now, that's the only width that's offered, which is our most popular width, by the way, for t-shirt design and sizes. I'm just going to load it into my cutter, and I'm going to tell it to go find the front edge of that material. I already have my blade depth set because UltraWeed was the last product that I cut on the vinyl cutter. So with the material in place, I'm just going to go ahead and send my cut job. So I'll have to look over to my other screen here. I'm going to click Send Cut Job, and it will start processing it. So when you're cutting, your blade depth really only needs to be extended the thickness of the film that you're cutting, and not the film with the carry, just the film layer. So you really don't need a lot of blade depth at all. That's one of the most common mistakes I see when people are vinyl cutting, and I'll go into their shop, is they'll have their blade out way too far. And so I always give guidance that if it's more than a half of a credit card's thickness, if you hold your driver's license or your credit card up to it, it's out too far, period. I don't care what material you're cutting, that's too far. You need to bring your blade depth back in. And then also with that, you'll probably get more accurate cuts without skipping. So after it's been cut, I'm just going to trim away this piece. Of course, this is probably waste on this side where the design wasn't cut. So you may want to just spread designs out here and cut multiples and stock a couple extras. Of course, some cutters can accommodate that waste, especially those with cutting mats. But, you know, you got to decide whether that's worth it. I would probably sink the cost of the whole width of material into this one job for this logo. So let's remove the metallic black, and I'm going to load the black material here. I wanted to play around with these colors and the contrast of the colors here. So I'll show you the difference. UltraWeed is a nice matte finish. We felt that was really important to this new product and its development, was to have that matte finish. That's what a lot of you have asked for and love about our fashion film and our Premium Plus. So we wanted to keep that nice professional result. So all I'm going to do now is on my screen, I'm just selecting the other color in the vector cut software and clicking Send Cut Job. There's really nothing to see here. And we'll just cut the next design. I'll look in for questions here. All right, so Jenna did link a video out on our Stahls TV page as well as our Facebook page. Thank you for that, Jenna. And our team at Transfer Express did as well. Looks like we're good on questions at the moment. Okay, I'm going to take this one while we're cutting and weeding here. So this is a good question. Starting a t-shirt business for groups, big orders, what would be the best to go with? HTV, screen printing, sublimation, or DTG? And so I'll give you my guidance on that. I think that screen printed, if it's big orders, if you were doing, let's say, 50 of the same design, you would be kind of crazy to cut and weed all of that if it's in a basic finish, because you can just order a screen printed transfer, use the same heat press, and just heat apply it and drive a lower cost altogether. So typically screen printing, and as an extension of screen printing, screen printed transfers are going to be the best for group orders and quantity. HTV is more for low quantity customization or special effects that you can't achieve with screen printing as easy. And DTG is again more for made to order low quantity customization. So if you are producing in bulk and your customer is taking the orders in bulk, screen printing or screen printed transfers, definitely the way to go. I would recommend heavily towards screen printed transfers because it's a leaner model than investing in the space and the knowledge and everything that goes along with screen printing. And then if the business grows, you can always invest in the screen printing. However, if you're just thinking you're going to sell to groups and start an e-commerce store, sometimes DTG or transfers or vinyl makes more sense because you can actually make to order and really keep a lean model and reduce your on-shelf inventory risk of decorated garments. So good question. We're going to weed these together real quick. So I'll bring you back down to a close-up view. Got a lot to get through today, so I'm just going to tell you right now, we're probably going to run a little bit over. So don't order your lunch quite yet if you're on the East Coast. Again, we're working with our standard black and metallic black. I'm going to start with the metallic black for the weeding. And let's see. It's pretty easy to see the cut lines here. I'm just going to start weeding away the excess. One of the benefits of this product is it does have the sticky backing. So if you accidentally pull up any of the detail in the job, it can be repositioned back down. Actually, I'm going to start with the very outside because it's a little bit easier to be able to see my design. And so you're just going to weed away the excess here. See how that works? Slow and steady wins the race. You could rip and pull this, but I like seeing the details as I'm weeding and making sure that nothing is going to lift off, so I can save it instead of having to inspect the scrap piece. And then let's take out the center. So we have that piece of the design that's created. That's our Jaguars in metallic. And then let's grab the other piece, which is the claw, as well as the text. And this is in the regular black. So again, I'm just weeding away the excess, watching the points of the claw, making sure I get a good cut, and then peeling this away. So one of the biggest benefits of UltraWeed, it's in the name, right? It's ultra easy to weed. So we think it's for sticky back material, which people usually like. We think it's the easiest to weed on the market. You can't do as super duper fine of detail as fashion film. You got to be careful, but not just like flippantly cut fine detail and that really super high tack backing saves you. We tried to make this one so it had the ability to do detail, everything that 99% of our customers will want to do within reason. So stuff like this that's small with fine points, not a problem as long as you are accurate on your blade depth, like I mentioned earlier. But we wanted to make it easy for large stuff as well, because you can get so sticky on that backing when you try to do something large on the same material. It's just a pain in the butt to be able to weed that without the material rolling up or really gripping to itself. So this is nice. Something I always like to show people is that not that it's a best practice to put this against paper or itself, but you can certainly attach these two materials together to put them with the garment to get over to the heat press. And then with this tacky backing, you can separate them very easy at the heat press without issue, which is nice for storing them with a work order or traveling through the shop. I always like to stick them to my garment and move everything together in a bin that way. So let's head over to the heat press. Real far over here. I'm used to saying head over from the studio where we actually have to walk somewhere. Let's turn around to the heat press. And this was a two-color design I did the other day that you may have seen on our short video. I'm going to do this garment as well. Left chest location, I already know I want to be working with a 6x10" platen. In case you missed any of my other sessions, when you buy your heat press, buy one with quick change platens if you can afford it. And you'll be able to make more money and sell more things that way. And as far as interchangeable platens, I recommend the 6x10" and the 11x15" as being essential platens. Make sure it's seated back in, lock the latch back down. And now we're going to load our garment. So I'm going to split this because I have it on the stand. I'm able to thread it on, get down to a single layer of fabric for printing without the seam structure or anything happening on the backside of this garment impacting my print area. Just going to stretch that seam off the edge a bit, and then let's get a feel for our pressure on this. UltraWeed applies at a medium pressure at 260 degrees to 300 degrees. I'm set here at 260 degrees because I'm working with 100% performance polyester. No problems with that. If your garment has 50%, 50% or more cotton, then that's really where you need to go to 280 degrees is the recommendation. So I'm thinking, what do I want to apply here first? I'm going to start with this metallic black for the name drop. And I'm just going to position that into place. And I always like to pinch top shoulder. There's not much space on this garment, so it's kind of like put it between the seams, and that's about as good as I can do here. I am going to take my other design just to make sure it'll fit on my platen when I line it up, and it will. Just hold it over for a second. And here's what I love about UltraWeed, guys. When you are heat pressing multicolor, sometimes that background layer shrinks, or sometimes you have to wait a little bit for it to cool. And it's just an inconvenience and a time suck or messes up with the quality. With UltraWeed, you tack it for 2 seconds, the backing practically falls away. That's one of the best features. So look, just give it a couple seconds. You're going to open the press, and then it's a hot peel. So I'm just going to grab the backing. It falls away, and it doesn't move my fabric at all. So it stays nice in place, doesn't warp or stretch. to be able to take my next design through this crystal clear carrier and lay it in. And so I'm going to just look through here to make sure I'm lining up correctly with those claw marks. A little bit of a gap outline there. This is going to look nice. And then I do have some of that metallic black here exposed to the heater. The cover sheet, the way I trimmed it, didn't handle that. So instead of getting an indent mark there, I'm just going to cover it with the cover sheet, press this layer for a couple seconds. Normally it could be the full 12, but because I had that slight overlap, I'll just take a couple seconds, get that carrier off, and then I'm going to press it all together. At some point, I need to get 260 degrees for 12 seconds. So you're going to love the quality of what's created here. It's going to feel super soft and thin on this garment. Been getting a lot of questions around how does this product stretch. I wouldn't call it high stretch like Premium Plus. I wouldn't rate it a 5 on a 1 to 5 scale, but I'd rate Fashion Film a 3. I'd put this at a 4. So it's right in between Premium Plus and Fashion Film on the stretch. And really where it differentiates from Fashion Film, if you've used that, is the recovery. So after it's stretched, its ability to rebound and go back to its original form instead of staying warped. And so this is our completed result. So you can see 2-color, and it's going to be tough to see through the screen, but in person, I can see the difference. Yeah, you can see it there between the black and metallic black. It looks really cool because you kind of get a different sheen coming off that one part of the design, which makes it worth the extra effort. So that color combination looks good. I think the design looks cool with just that little extra detail. Took me a couple minutes in the art and made for a design that looks much better than just something standard. So hopefully you can see that. Really good, 260 degrees. I mean, what other material applies like that and hot peels like that at this price? I'm so happy with what our development team has done here with this product. So let's keep moving because we have a lot of work to do. Going to look for questions. All right, I think I just answered the question on stretchability, so we should be good there. This will be available for viewing from the start, so all of these making it togethers get recorded, and then we put them through a little bit of video editing just to put something on the front and the end of them to introduce them, and then they hit our YouTube page. All right, this is a good one. What is the best heat press you recommend for traveling, living in an RV? So if you're doing mobile heat printing, I like this autoclam. And the reason I like the autoclam better than the Fusion for mobile heat printing, 2 reasons. One is it's not as fancy in the control board. And so if you're going out into a field or an event or you have a generator and you're printing, there's not as much risk for a power surge damaging the control board. And then the other reason I like it is because it's lighter weight and you can get the stand like I have here that has the wheels on it and casters that can be leveled off or wheeled. So it's very easy to wheel around to an event. I've even wheeled these out to people's cars on concrete after a trade show. So it's very mobile with what it can do there. So the Hotronics autoclam. All right. And then another question, how is UltraWeed different than Fashion Film? And so answer on that is a little bit more stretch. I think it's a good balance of detail and performance, a lower temperature application, and price point is roughly the same at all the increments. So really, I think Fashion Film has been a great product for us. We're continuing to sell it, but I believe UltraWeed is the product of the future. It checks a lot of the boxes that people wanted with Fashion Film. Easier to weed on larger designs, lower temperature application, and just a little bit more stretchable on the garment, but same ease of use and weeding. And so last question before I move on, any tip for when the top carrier sheet leaves a mark on the previously applied layer? It's tough to get that out. That's why we show the technique of tacking that foreground layer if there's any overlap of the carrier to get it off of there before you finish it. So prevent the issue before it happens. If it does happen, you can probably try to hit it again with a cover sheet. I personally like our flexible application pads, which has a little bit of a pebble texture to it to be able to affect the finish of the material and get rid of the visibility of that mark. You can try that. All right. Yeah, so this is the premise of the problem. Noble Rock says, so many different films. I want the UltraWeed, but I have a lot of others that I have to get rid of first. agreed. And we've heard that time and time again. So our goal with this was to consolidate your inventory to simplify your carrying costs for vinyl. And that's why we want you to move to UltraWeed or take a hard look at it. And we're going to grow the colors out on that ridiculously so we can get to one product that does 99% of what you want to do. All right, here we go. So let me move back to my screen, and let's take some design and come up with something different here. So I'm going to delete this one for now. I want to make sure we get to the mixed media one. I feel like that's more complex. So for now, I'm going to drop the Stahls and I'm going to do this no bad vibes design. Before I do this, I want to quickly show you how something like this can be created. If you just want to make something yourself, it's really simple. You just go to add text and you can type in whatever custom text you want. You can select your font that you want. Usually bolder fonts tend to work better with what we call a drop shadow effect. And with CAD Works, it's very simple. You just click add effect and go into the different drop shadows. So we give you drop shadows in a lot of different directions, but select the one you want, the shadow effect that you want, click open, and it applies it to your text. So I'll change the colors so we can see it here together, but you can see it just adds that drop shadow to your text, and then you can adjust the offset. So right now it's at 0.12, but if I want it to be a 1/4 of an inch drop shadow, I can do that, both vertical and horizontally. And you can see it gives you a little bit more of depth and dimension. So coming up with these effects like drop shadows, like you see here, are very easy within CAD Works. Now I'd like to look a little bit underneath of this design. So I'm going to break it apart by colors for you. And you can see that I'm working with a full background layer and a full foreground layer. I don't want to give you necessarily definite guidance of whether that's a good idea or bad. The benefit of having the full background layer, if your material is layerable, it's going to give you a little bit more room for error on the placement without getting it exactly perfect. So I personally like that because I'm going to use UltraWeed as my background layer, and I'm going to try metallic on top of it for placement. But you could also just cut the drop shadow and get rid of the full outline if you wanted something lighter on the garment, but that's going to take you a little bit more time in placement. But for the sake of time and simplicity, I'm going to cut it as is. Let's go ahead and send that to Vector Cut for it to download. Click OK, so it makes sure it knows what we want to do here. Bring that into view, and then we're going to load some new colors of material on the vinyl cutter for you. Something I do, I mentioned mirror earlier, but I also look at my material width. So this UltraWeed is 15 inches wide, which is actually like 14 point, I forget if it's 6'8", something like that. So it's a nominal 15 inches, but really close. What I usually do is I set up the width of my material within Vector Cut. So I know with how I have my cutter set up, when I load a roll with my pinch rollers, I can typically cut about 14 inches on the width. So I have it set for 14.1. And so that gives me an accurate representation of the space that I have. And so let's say I wanted to do, it's tough for me to visualize here. Let me look back at CAD Works. I'm getting confused about what layer's what. So, okay, yeah, so my metallic is going to be on top. That's going to be my light pink color, and my UltraWeed is going to be the darker color. So let me go back here. So UltraWeed is darker color. So I got my darker color selected, which is going to be out of the UltraWeed material. So now what I'm going to do is, let's just see, make another copy of this for the handbag that I wanted to try. And I'm just going to size down this design. This design right now is 2.76 by 2.15, which should be fine for what I need to do on the handbag. So I'm just going to drop it down here. And then you could make multiple copies or fit these together and rotate it like Tetris so two can fit within one another. But for our time together right now, this is good for me. So I'm just going to move it just up on the material a little bit. And then let's load our roll of the light pink to be able to cut it here. So coming back to me. We have 3 shades of pink currently available. We have a light pink, a medium pink, and a dark pink. This is our light pink, which matches our thermofilm pink, which has been a really popular color for us. And so we're going to start by cutting that. load the black material. Load the material in, get it lined up to the rollers, tell it go find the front edge. If I were cutting a long run, I usually pre-feed my material to make sure I have enough and it's not going to track incorrectly or go off track. Because I'm just going one, it's easy enough just to do it this way. And let's go ahead and send that cut job. Springs Advertising asks, while we're waiting on this to cut, is it good for cotton for long durability? Yeah, so UltraWeed will outlast the garment. That means 50 plus wash cycles. We've taken it through our lab testing. Cotton is no problem. The main thing is when you switch to cotton, you want to be up at the 280 degrees at least. You can go as high as 300, but at least 280 degrees. If there's 50% or more cotton, you don't want to use 260 because then you will have durability issues. But yeah, no problem. Cotton, polyester, etc. Another question, when layering the drop shadow, how do you not get the back layer from showing through the top layer? So just placement of the material, and we'll do that here in a second. At the heat press, you'll see that if your material has good opacity, you shouldn't get any show through at all of that background layer. Now, if you're using a material that doesn't have good coverage and opacity, then you will have issues. So this has been cut. It's ready to weed. While I'm getting ready to weed that, I'm going to grab my metallic roll, and we'll show you a different product than just UltraWeed. And so this roll of product is like a foil-like material. And so we're using the color pink here. It comes 20 inches wide. So I have no problem fitting this design on. I do like to pre-feed some material on this roll because the metallic tends to want to stick together just a little bit on the roll. So it's a good idea to pre-feed. And when you're loading different widths of material, you got to make sure your pinch rollers are under these blue marks on this particular cutter. So I just need to adjust those slightly. And then I'll lock it down into place and again, tell it to find the front edge. And I'm going to pull the design. Okay, so it's given me an error. It says error, realign pinch rollers and confirm. So I didn't get the pinch rollers under the blue mark where they were supposed to be. And so all I need to do is unload the media. Let's pull it back out of there for a second. And yeah, this one's off the side. I missed it. So I'm going to slide that in. Take a peek at this one. It's off the side. Slide that in. And then just re-pull my material through. So if you follow the cutter, it will tell you your issues and what to do if it throws you an error. And then just redo until it go find the front edge again. Now, because I do have a new material loaded, I want to make sure I do a test cut. So test cuts are great anytime you're loading in new material. I am set at a force of 9, which is what I was cutting my UltraWeed at. And so I'm going to test cut it at that 9 to see if it works fine. It cuts a little square inside of a triangle. The square should move away and leave the triangle. And this material is really thin too, so that gives you an idea. It's as thin as the UltraWeed is. And it worked just fine, so I feel confident going ahead and sending my job. Just going to move it to the side of the cut, the test cut there, and let's send it over. All right. So you've seen cutting a lot. This is going to work over here on the side, and I'm going to pull you back here so I can weed the design that's already been cut. Try to clear out some space. And this will give you an idea on this pink color on how to weed something that's larger that has a little bit more open space. So same concept. The other nice thing about UltraWeed, because it is a hot peel, you can actually weed it on the weeding table or on your heat press on the bottom platen when it's warmed up. It'll make peeling easier, but I wanted you to see how easy it is even on large designs. And for those of you that have weeded other products like fashion film, you know that is quite an improvement from where we've been. So not only can you do pretty good detail like we showed you in the last example, but you can save time weeding your larger designs. So almost there. Going to peek in for a couple questions here while I'm unloading the other material. Trim this apart. Can't wait to try it on that faux leather purse to see how it works. A couple little pieces, almost forgot. And make sure I get this outside edge. I know many of you don't like to weed. I don't either. Wonder what's worse, actually weeding or watching somebody else weed. So always speed that part up because it's pretty boring process, but a necessary evil to be able to get the job done. But we try to make it as simple as possible by creating materials that can work with the weeding table or be easy to weed. So I'm just trimming this apart, so there's really nothing to see on this side. I'm coming right back to you to be able to weed this metallic material so you can see how easy that is as well. And then we'll be over to the heat press in just 1 second. So this is a piece of scrap I can definitely use later. And then on the metallic, it's actually really easy as well. It has a little bit of a light tack to this. And if you haven't tried this product, this is one you want to put in the shopping cart when you're trying UltraWeed in one of these cool new colors, because I'm telling you, everybody that's tried this just loves it. It's available in about 8 to 12 colors. Just feels so soft on the garment and is a simpler experience than using the two-step process on foil. And it looks and feels just like foil, but I can do it in a single step. And that also means that I can use it to get a foil-like look when I'm mixing and matching materials and layering like I'm doing here. Now, I never recommend layering anything on top of this product, but I'm going to try it here as the foreground layer for UltraWeed. I have good expectations that this will work and work just fine. We're still working on our final material combination settings, but I'm going to give you kind of secrets on how you can come up with your own combination settings and try new things. So with that, let's head over to the heat press and try these couple cool looks. All right. What do we want to start with? I think I'm going to start with, well, I definitely need to be at 280 degrees. So let me start working my way up for when I do the cotton poly shirt. In the meantime, I'm going to try my faux leather bag. And so this is just a handbag from Wholesale Boutique, which is a blank apparel wholesaler. You know, like they call it vegan leather. It's a faux leather. And so anything that has a true hot peel backing like UltraWeed does, I have high hopes that it can work with this. There's some seam structure here up on the platen. And so to correct that, I'm just going to grab a print perfect pad, or I could use a heat printing pillow. Either one would work for this job. And I'm going to put that in there to try to elevate my print surface. I don't know which way is the front on a handbag. I'm going to guess it zips from left to right, so this must be the front. All right, I'm worried about melting this. You're going to be worried about melting this when you first get started. That's why we're trying it here. See if it works like fashion film does when we're doing this. Never want to apply direct heat to this. And so this is going to be where I use my flexible application pad, which is an accessory item from Stahls. I'm going to position it here while I work to get my pressure correct. I added thickness with the purse and the pad, so I'm reducing my pressure by turning it counterclockwise on the over center adjustment. And that's one of the benefits of the Stahls press, is it has a patented over the center adjustment. A lot of machines on the market have the pressure adjustment in the back, which causes issue with getting even pressure from the center out. And sometimes you see a light pressure on the front of the press because the pressure is moving from the back to the front, which can cause some durability issues. on garments that you're making, unfortunately. So we're going to position this into place. I'm going to take my No Bad Vibes design that we cut from that light pink color. I'm going to position it on the purse. I'm worried about it marking with this Mylar carrier. As you can see here, the Mylar carrier is indenting into the purse. And so you just want to be careful with that and get that carrier off as quick as possible. So I usually like to take just a regular cover sheet and just fast tack it, because not only is the adhesive for the UltraWeed melting, but also the bag is like softening and melting. So you should get a bond with just a couple seconds with this product. If you go too long, you're going to scorch your bag. This is how I do shoes as well. So I'm just going to give it that couple seconds like it's a fast tack. That's all there is to it. And then I'm going to try to release this. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, so it releases hot still. Some products you have to cold peel when you do that. And I have good coverage here, but it's not durable. And so that's where I bring in my texturizing pad. I'm going to cover it up, and then I'm going to hit it for the full dwell. Typically 12 seconds. Usually when I'm using this flexible application pad, the cover sheet, I recommend adding 10 seconds. But because the UltraWeed is already a low temp product, I think I'm going to be fine just adding 5 seconds and trying it there. And so I'm going to apply it for an additional 17 seconds. A normal application is 12 seconds. All right. And question is, vector cut compatible with the US cutter machines? Yeah. So you can set up vector cut to drive a lot of the different machines that are on the market, and just set them up as a generic cutter in vector cut and just connect the USB drive that you have them plugged into. That usually works. I love this. Pretty excited about this one. All right, so you can see I got good application. I got no marking on this bag, and it's tough to see there, but I have really good texture. It picked up the texture of the cover sheet and of the background material because of how thin it is really, really well. So I feel confident recommending UltraWeed for all of these unique applications. That low temp is going to help us go places that we haven't even been before as far as durability and what we can apply to. Let's get to that 2-color job with the drop shadow. I'm going to swap out my 6x10. I believe 11x15 is going to be my most appropriate size to fit the design and still get the garment threaded on. Let's try that with my tank top. I'm going to split it and load it. Just pulling the collar back so it hangs over the edge. This is quite wrinkly. It's been in a bin in my garage for a while from an event that we did. Because I took the pad out, my pressure needs a lot of adjustment to get it back to a 5 pressure, which is medium. I'm going to pull it back to my 12-second application here. And I am at 280 degrees because this garment has 50% or more cotton. It's actually 60 cotton, 40 poly, if you're wondering. And so here are my 2 pieces that I'm going to do for this combination. So I'm going to separate. UltraWeed is going to be my background layer. It's like oversized on here, which I like. How long do you apply UltraWeed as a background layer? 2 seconds. So really simple. Lock it down. 2 seconds. Hot peel the backing. That 2 seconds gets it to stick and hold without shrinking. And then now the tough part is lining up your foreground color, in this case metallic. And I'm going to go back to my screen because I forget which direction the drop shadow went in. I want to make sure I create the look that we're after here. So it looks like the background, I actually have the colors reversed, is to the side. So let me just take a look and give you a split screen here. There we go. So I wanted the drop shadow thing's nice because you can kind of mess around with how it looks as well. We're going to go down a little bit to the right. This is all manual placement, so you're going to have to be okay with a little variance on this. There's no way to set this up so everyone's identical because it's a visual placement through the material. I think I have it about as good as I'm going to get it. and then I'm going to follow the application instructions for metallic. So here's where some education would help. If I remember metallic correctly, I'm going to go to the website and let me just pull up the application. Here's how you get there. You go to Stahls.com, heat transfer vinyl, and then go to the product you want to apply, in this case, metallic. Under every product page, which we've updated our website, our team did an awesome job of showing great visuals of the product. So if you haven't been to the product pages lately, take a look and you may get inspired. Here are the colors of metallic. Under any material, don't miss these tabs. This is a user guide, and here it's going to tell me 285, 8 to 10 seconds is my application. So my heat press is at 280, so I feel pretty good about that. I need to give it at least 8 to 10 seconds to apply. But remember, UltraWeed requires 12 seconds. We've only pressed it for 2 seconds so far. So I'm actually going to apply the metallic for 12 seconds as well. That way I can get it done all in one job together. So I'm at 280, should be 285, but we'll roll with it. 12 seconds, and then I'm going to go ahead and lock the heat press down. And don't forget, metallic is a cold peel, which means I need to let it cool completely down before I peel it. This is a good question coming in. It's a cold peel, which is why I'm grabbing the handle so it doesn't lift the carrier. It usually doesn't, but just in case. Jim asked, do you ever use the dual timer on your auto open clam? A lot of customers use it. I don't. Okay. I override it. And so I set it for 12 seconds. As you see, when I need the 2 seconds, it's so short of a time. I just lock it and boom, pop the machine. It's pretty easy for me to do for what I'm doing here. But you could certainly, if you're running a job of 100 shirts, I would probably use the dual timer. All right. So metallic is a cold peel. So I'm going to let it cool down. It's looking really good so far. Through the carrier, but I'll wait till it cools down to get the finished result. Let's pull some heat out of it quicker so we don't have to wait. So I'm just holding it against the wall to pull the heat out. About 5 or 10 seconds of that will get me down to room temperature. And let's see, let's go close up on the peel, see how it looks together. Sorry, that's probably a horrible noise on that microphone. Get rid of that. All right, after it's done, grab it and peel away. Notice I'm going 45 degrees corner to corner on the peel. Yeah, that turned out really nice. All right, and so we have our completed result. In person, you can see the drop shadow on the light pink. Really good. I know it's kind of tough through the screen, so pick your color combination, but it looks really sharp. Now, here's something I just thought of. This is a nice bright metallic. If you apply this again, usually it texturizes a bit and takes on the shirt color. When you're layering metallic, I would be careful of that because there may be parts of this design where it takes on the shirt color, where it's hitting the shirt directly, but where it's layered over UltraWeed, I don't think you're going to get the same texture. So you may end up with a dual texture. So you can try that, but I'm pretty happy with this result. And I know my daughter would want the shirt, so I'm not going to ruin it. So you have the design ready to rock here. All right, creating some cool stuff. Last project is the shirt for me. And for those of you that are sticking around, thank you for doing so. We've made 3 things so far with the new UltraWeed. And for our last project, we're going to use that cream color as well as the metallic gold, and we're going to use it on that dark green performance shirt to try that. So back to CAD Works. Let me just open up a new design space. And I'm going to open from my files that Stahls logo again, if I can find it here. Here it is. Just grab one of the Stahls pieces of text. I'm just going to do one here. Click on wireframe to make sure I see the cut lines. Yeah, so this one, I thought I remembered this, is kind of saved weird where there's a hidden design under there. So let me just break that apart real quick by regions. That'll allow me to separate each piece and just get to one layer of the Stahls text, which is what I need for the cut line. And then I'm going to add some text. I want it to say since 1932. So we're going to start with caps, since That's when Stahls started in the business. I'm going to pick from some of our new 2020 fonts here. I like this one for a background in cream. Let me open that up. And then I'm going to duplicate this to do the 1932 text in the background. Also, for those of you that are watching, UltraWeed product that we're using mostly here today is not only new and from Stahls and manufactured in USA. It's a great price point, and we are doing free shipping as an introductory offer. So if UltraWeed is in your cart over at Stahls.com, your order qualifies for free shipping if it's heat transfer vinyl. So I'm going to do the cream as my background color. Put it on a little bit of an angle, and then I want this Stahls coming through it in blue. I'm also going to do it on a little bit of an angle. And then I'm going to size the whole thing. I know I measured my garment earlier on this one, so I know I'm going to do about 6 inches on the width. I do want it to be a little bit oversized on this garment for a cool effect. And then we're ready to send over to the vinyl cutter. So real quick, real easy. Sometimes it's just the color combinations that make a design look cool. You don't really need to overcomplicate the design on everything. So I'm more of a typography guy that likes text-based designs, and so that's what I'm going to create here. And again, we'll mirror it. I will grab the color that I want first. And then we will send it to cut. Now, real quick, if you did want to make multiple copies of this, you can make multiple copies right here, or you can just say quantity in vector cut, and you can say, hey, I want 4 of these. Click OK, and it'll make the copies for you. It assumes a bounding box around the design, so I don't feel like it spaces them the best. So you may be better off to kind of tighten these up, but at least you can get the copies on the page to be able to send it to your cutter. So let's go ahead and load the material. Danita says, after this, I will check my site. Don't check your site. Don't tell my hubby. We won't. Hopefully he's not watching. And free shipping, yeah. So you didn't miss anything. Free shipping is a standard offer on UltraWeed. When you have it in your cart with the other heat transfer vinyl, you'll get free shipping. However, if for some reason you didn't get the offer, not to worry. It only costs $5 in flat rate shipping from Stahls anyway. So it's really only a $5 difference on your heat transfer vinyl order. So I'm going to take this cool color that I like. It's cream, more of a natural color instead of going with basic white. And this will be my first thing I've cut from this roll, so I'm going to remove the tape from it. Unload what I have on my cutter. And drop in the UltraWeed in the cream color, which is more of a yellowish sort of shade of cream. I'm going to take a second, step in front of you, and unlock my brake on the cutter that's been bothering me so my material can feed through freely without getting stopped. Same process we've been going through, guys. So let's get it ready to cut. Since I didn't change my downforce when I cut the metallic, I'm just going to click Send Cut Job, and the cutter does the work. While it's working, let me grab my other design here. If you did have scrap material, this would be a perfect candidate of material to cut out of scrap. Even though it's at an angle, I could straighten it up to be able to send it to the cutter. Grabbing the metallic gold and getting ready for my next layer to try to move through this part quickly. Let's cut rid of weed. Metallic gold. Also, the metallics are cool. The metallic black I used earlier, we have a gold and a silver. They are cool for those of you that want to get a nice finish without having the cost, because the metallics are sold at the same price as the UltraWeed when they're in this line. So don't confuse it with the actual metallic foil-like product that we cut earlier. But if the metallic is a color in the UltraWeed line, then it's available at the same price as all the other material. Typically, a lot of companies will charge more for metallics and neons. Within our range, they're at the same price. Don't have any neons in the range yet, but as I told you guys over the last few days, is this product line is starting with 30 colors, and we are rapidly growing to over 50 colors over the next several months. And so neons are on that list. Let's talk about the cost of the material. So this material costs about 1.2 cents per square inch. So what that means to you is this particular design, when I cut it, I'm using 15 inches wide across the material. And with that, I want to sink that whole cost into one garment, because there's no guarantee that I'm going to utilize the scrap material that's on the other side, that I'm going to save, or the extra design that I've cut. And so I would just take that 15-inch width, and I would take, the 6 inches tall that it is, and you would get somewhere around, 90 square inches. Multiply that by your 1.2 cents. And then at that point, you would have your cost for a single design. And so that's all I'm going to use right now. So cost for, a single design would be about $1 in this case, if I'm just doing literally one. But if you're able to sell a job and do multiples up, of course, it would only be the size of the actual print plus a little bit of waste. And I usually add a factor of 15% for waste, but use that penny a square inch, beef it up by about 15%, and you should cover the cost of your material. And don't forget about your labor and overhead. That's why we have our CAD-CUT cost calculator, which soon will be updated for UltraWeed to be able to do this. So this is the metallic gold. All right, so that piece is ready to go. Nice metallic. And this will be our last application I wanted to test today. Before we wrap it up, take some questions and do a quick recap on where we're at with face masks. So here's our shirt that we're doing. Ogio Performance. It's a dark green color, 100% polyester. I'm up at 280. So I like to say scorch-free application. The reality is some garments are still heat sensitive at 260 degrees. But you're a lot less likely to leave scorch marks, or as drastic of a scorch mark at 260 than you are up at like 300 or 320, which is the application for some of these other products that are available to you. And so while some garments may still scorch at 260, you're a lot more likely to be able to handle more garments with this product. But we're not going to guarantee that you're not going to scorch any fabrics at 260. Try your fabric, see if it scorches. Honestly, I haven't tried this one, so there's a likelihood that this one may scorch on us, but I need to test it anyway, so I'll test it with you. One thing that does help with scorching are heat printing pillows. Tend to soften the edge if you don't have the heated lower platens, which I don't here today. The pillows are nice because it's kind of a soft edge instead of a hard edge. And the heat transfer vinyl products, including UltraWeed, work perfectly okay with heat printing pillows. And it's actually going to help me here because it's going to help me handle some of this seam structure that's in this garment. So draping the thick zipper off the edge, positioning that pillow into place for the design and where I want to place it. And then I'm going to cover it with a cover sheet and work to adjust this pressure. Don't want to over apply the pressure right away. And keep in mind what I've done here is I've raised the print surface with a pillow. So you want to be careful on your applied pressure that you're putting onto the garment when you are using a smaller surface like a pillow. Yes, pillows do require a little bit more pressure than a print perfect pad because of the low density surface. But in my opinion, it's always better to start on the lighter side when you're using a pillow and a performance polyester garment. So that pillow doesn't fit my design. no worries. That's why I have other accessories. So I'm going to slide in this pillow, and the seams will sink right down into it. If you're going to do a lot of these, you can always lock the pillow down underneath the cover, so you don't have to fiddle with it every time. All right, there we go. I've preheated one, so we'll take my Since 1932. I think I like that on the lower side of this design based on the seam structure of this garment. So I'm going to put that there, and I'm going to put the Stahls over top of it once it's done. See if I want to layer this. I don't think it's going to look as good layered, so I'm going to do it in 2 steps here. I'm going to use the cover sheet since I'm using a heat-sensitive fabric. I'm at 267. Hit this background for a couple seconds. Get it to release. And then use the foreground, which is the metallic gold. I'm going to justify it to the right and layer it in here. I like the way that looks. And again, that carrier's overlapping my background design, so I'm just going to do the metallic for a couple seconds as well. Get it to release. And now I'm at 263 degrees, so that's about as good as it's going to get. And let's go ahead and run it for the full 12 seconds because I do need to reach the full 12 seconds. Now, I have seen testing from our lab where we've been able to do 260 degrees for 8 seconds on some 100% polyester. But when we considered the 50 washes and the full range of the marketplace, really the 260 for 12 seconds on anything that's not more than 50% or more cotton is going to give you the durability you're going to want across all of your fabrics. And I'm really happy with this. I think I made a cool jacket. So let me pop that on for you so we can get a look at the finished result. And there's no scorching that you're able to see here visually, which is really nice. So I love playing with the seam structure of products. And so this one, you can see my placement isn't always what you would predict. I think that adds to the interest of a garment and the branding opportunity. It's playing a little bit over to the left, but not under the arm because there's this seam that's going here and this seam that's going underneath that I'm kind of trailing with. It's on a diagonal. And so, yeah, pretty cool product. No scorch marks at 260 degrees. So that is a recipe for success. So let's take some final questions before looks like we're good. Danita has I'm not really sure about it. I've never heard of this cutter brand. What I did to cut off my design is I had a little groove where I could slice through with a razor that comes with the cutter. So it was built into the cutter design like that. So I don't know. There may not be an easy way on your cutter where it's built in like that. Yeah, and the lime is not a neon, but the lime is super bright as well. If you haven't had a chance, unfortunately, I wasted all of my lime not mirroring designs and ruining some stuff. So I had to use my greenery color, which is another bright green instead, but not quite as bright as the lime in UltraWeed. So here we go. Last time, UltraWeed. If you visit Stahls.com, you can find it on the top of the website where it says CAD-CUT Direct. Go to Heat Transfer Vinyl, and that's all alphabetically. It's UltraWeed. Soon it'll probably be in our most popular materials because that's where we expect it will be. And you can see all of the colors available. You can see the free ground shipping offer, and go ahead and place your order, try it, and leave us your review on the Facebook page. We'd love to hear your feedback, and even better, we'd love to see photos of what you're able to create for your customers or as samples for this product. So that will wrap up that section of our time together today. There's one other thing I want to give you product news on before we conclude, because I told you I would. The economy face covers that we were stocking. Again, this is a cotton face cover. It's about the thickness of a t-shirt. So it's it's definitely economy. They're sold in packs of 10 in the colors of black, dark gray, and navy. These are back in stock at Stahls.com for now. So if you want to buy them, it's $15.90 for a 10-pack of these. And so those are in stock and available over at Stahls.com. You can find them under the apparel section of our website. And then the premium face covers, those orders, if you placed them on the first part of that, April 20th to 24th, They should be delivering towards the end of this week or very early next week. We're shipping everything out by Friday for those early orders. They're currently still on a 2 to 3 week lead time for blanks, but we hope by the week of that is May 14th is our target date, that we will have stock of those to offer 48-hour shipping. Now, this is what those look like. It started white. I sublimated my design on it, and we've updated the design where it actually has 2 ear holes instead of the 1. But something that we just launched is sublimated artwork files. And so here's another one of those I did yesterday on a live on our Facebook page that has the American flag. Sublimating these is really cool because you can offer some unique branding. And our friend Dane Clement over at daneclement.com, if you go to his pics on his website, which is just daneclement.com, you can see all of the different artwork packs that you can buy, whether it's political packs or EMS type packs. Each pack comes with 3 designs in it. I think there's something for everybody in here. And so basically here we are selling you the files, 3 design files for $16.99 high resolution. And then you can print those on your sublimation printer. You will need an 11 by 17 printer. You won't be able to print the full mask on an 8.5 by 11 inch printer, or you can upload that artwork to the Stahls.com website and we can do the sublimation prints for you. So that's a little bit on how we're trending on face masks, which I know in covers, which is a hot topic. So I want to make sure everybody's updated there. We link to the masks in our content streams here, and any assistance for ordering the sublimation transfers is a question that just came in. And so the sublimation transfers themselves, again, over at Stahls.com, you're just going to go up to the artwork uploader in the top right-hand corner of the website. And that's where you're going to upload that artwork directly, the file that you buy from Dane or that you can create once you order the masks. You're going to log in and upload your artwork, and you will see CAD print sublimation as a product choice when you are uploading. So that's all the time we have today. I'm about 15, 20 minutes over already, but I appreciate all those who were able to stick on with me. We're only coming to you once a week, so I may go a little long sometimes. And if you have any other questions, I see some still coming in. Keep them coming in. We'll make sure we get back to you and answer all those questions. I do want to say the price of this blank mask, Blaine just asked it. The minimum quantity is 150. You can split those up across white, black, gray, youth or adult sizes, 50 quantities of 50 each. And the price on the blanks is $2.99 per mask for a blank. And then if you want us to decorate it, fully sublimate it for you, it would be $3.99. And again, you have to order 150 masks broken into quantities of 50 per design or size. All right. Thanks for watching. Make it a great Wednesday. And I'm sure I'll catch up with you all sometime later in the week.